Hello everybody, this is Serpent, and welcome back to another episode in Minecraft. In this one, I will be showing you how to make this gold farm and ghast farm as well. It's basically just they spawn on the wither roses and they die, and their drops are collected by minecarts with this fairly decent system. And you can see that we have some stuff. It hasn't been running all that long, so it's fairly efficient. It's also built at the top of the world, so none of the areas down there are habitable for mobs. So it's got pretty good efficiency as well at the moment. So then, let's move on to the tutorial. So the first thing you want to do for this farm is to find out where you need to build it. I'm going to build it a ways off from that one so that the two aren't loaded at the same time. And I'm going to start by placing set block at Y255 a glass block. So this is the top of your roof, and I'm going to be making my roof or my entire farm 28 by 28 in the spawning portion and 30 by 30 including the walls. So this is going to include the walls, the ceiling. So I'm going to just do a fill command from this to 30 blocks on, and I'll make it out of glass. And this is at the top of the world. If you take a look, 256, can't place any higher. So now you have your roof, and apparently that is still loaded. So now you have your roof, and you can place down 4 blocks and then another one, and this last one is the level at which you want to place your grass floor. It does have to be either grass or dirt or something that you can plant crops on, or rather wither roses, because otherwise you won't be able to plant the wither roses, and that's basically the entire point of the farm. So you need to do that, but the 4 blocks here are also necessary for the ghasts to be able to spawn, and the roof is also necessary for the ghasts not to be able to escape the roses. You can poke holes in it or something, but you need to make sure that the ghasts won't be able to fit through them if you do so. So this grass area now is actually probably better to leave until just a little bit later, now that I think of it, because underneath you're going to be placing a bunch of minecart tracks for your hopper minecarts, and the hopper minecarts are going to go all the way underneath this grass platform, and the grass platform is going to be extending all the way from that corner that I marked out there to this corner over here, but not underneath that, because there's no point. Although that won't really break the farm or anything. Basically one thing to keep in mind is is that you can expand this if you want to. It doesn't have to be 28 by 28, 30 by 30 or whatever. It can be as large as you want, but for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to be showing you the design I already came up with, and it wouldn't take a lot of effort to adapt the design, but just keep in mind that you can. So you can see that I'm already getting pigmen spawning, and that brings us to spawn proofing the thing, which is definitely something you want to be doing, but you don't have to worry about it at the start here, because you can just kill all the pigmen eventually. So yeah, go for your platform here, do another fill command with your with blocks, and this time it's going to be 28 and quartz. Gotcha. Alright, and this is where your tracks are going to go, like I said. So I will show you how to do those in just a moment. For the sake of being able to show you just a little bit better, being able to see a little bit better how many blocks across we're building this, and there's a ghast. I'm going to put in a little string of glass along here. Obviously you will be wanting to put walls on here so that the pigmen can't escape, but we can wait until later once again for that. Now we have here, get out of here. We have here some rails, and 6 blocks along, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, down here, you need to place a redstone block, or power that block somehow, maybe underneath with a lever. It doesn't really matter how, just make sure that you do. And likewise on this side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and another redstone block. Like so. Or not quite like so. Apparently I did that a little bit wrong, 1 block over. Like I said, it doesn't really matter just as long as they're all powered. With that in mind, extend the line of redstone blocks or powered blocks all the way across, and on the other side as well. Alright, so with these redstone blocks in place, you're free to place down the rest of your powered rails. These don't really have to be powered rails, but just make sure that the minecart will be getting across no matter what. And for the sake of things, I'm using powered rails. Also, you'll be getting a lot of gold from this thing once you've built it, so maybe worth the investment, or maybe worth using the soon-to-be worthless material. Now place a couple blocks along the edge, a rim, if you will, so that the minecarts won't fly off the edge. Make sure that that's solid blocks so that the minecarts bounce back, and then just keep placing down all these rails. Like so. I'm cheating. No. So now that you have these, you can safely place down a bunch of grass blocks. Well, you would be able to if these pigmen weren't here. So I'm once again going to cheat. You could just walk away and come back and they would all despawn, because they won't spawn on the tracks. But yeah, I'm going to be doing this grass block, and now all the pigmen should be dying. Yep. Alright, so now you have your grass and you have your tracks underneath, and you can start closing this up with some walls so that the ghasts and pigmen won't be able to escape. You don't have to make these solid, and likewise you didn't have to make the ceiling solid, but I think it looks better if you do. So I shall do so. So now that you have your rails and everything up there already, it's time to begin with the minecart, the actual minecart unloading system. So firstly, place a bunch of hoppers down under here, and just across the top of these hoppers, continue the rails on, and then in the inside, pop out these rails and replace them with unpowered ones, with just normal regular rails. And you can do that from here as well. And continue that pattern along. You have to do the powered rails extending them first, because otherwise the normal ones will connect to each other, like this, and then they won't unconnect when you do that. So remember, place them like that, and then like that, and do that all the way across. So with that in place, you can now go over to the front of the rails and pop down a line of blocks so that the minecarts will eventually be able to return from the end. And then with those blocks in place, head down to your hoppers, place a block down and a comparator, and a block in the front of that comparator with a redstone torch here, and another block on the top of that, and a repeater going into the powered rail. So now, when anything's traveling through this hopper, the rail will turn off and allow the minecart to unload. When it's empty, the minecart will head back out and collect more. Now, take this and continue it all across, except you should also be placing a couple slabs on the top here for spawn-proofing purposes. And of course, I've just realized it's you're going to have to build the comparator part just before those other blocks. Whoops. In fact, I'll have cut that out of the tutorial. So never mind, I'm entirely right. I have been all the way along. Place these blocks down here first, and then comparators, and then, you know, what I said. And your end product should look like this. And apparently I got a gold nugget in there somehow. Okay, so now that you have this pattern here, you can begin putting in your hopper minecarts and your wither roses, and that'll start the farm off. So to do the wither roses, it's pretty simple. You just, if I can fit in, it's pretty simple. You just fill it up all the way with wither roses, so like this. And just, you know, make sure every block has a wither rose, and you'll be all good there. So now you can go down beneath into your minecart track area, and if you want, you can either break these blocks here to place your minecarts, or instead you can bring out a couple blocks, maybe a little bit of a platform here, and then grab yourself an elytra, not in the offhand, and head on underneath. And then grab a bunch of hopper minecarts, and you can place them from here. And that's all of them. So, right now it's already working. You're already getting a whole bunch of stuff out of it. And if you look into this hopper here, yeah, you can see it's filling up. So this is where you probably want to make some sort of collection system. I'm not going to be showing that to you because it's there are plenty of good collection systems out there. But basically just bring out the hoppers a bit more, and then, I don't know, chuck some chests down, like so. Something like this. And then I'm just going to keep it like that, pretty simple. And then on top of your hoppers, it's always a good idea to place some droppers when you can, and this will reduce the amount of lag that they cause. But yeah, that's a pretty simple system, and it works fine. So, how do you turn this thing off then? Well, if you want your minecart hoppers to stay moving and not unload grossly when you leave the chunk, you should probably turn the farm off. And that means that you need to place a bunch of blocks down here, and on top of all these blocks, a redstone torch. And into the redstone torch blocks, the blocks that they're sitting on, you're going to need to place down a repeater, and once again, all the way across with the repeaters. And into the back of the repeaters, place down some redstone dust. And then you can just power this, and it'll turn off the hoppers. Yeah, like that. Or not like that. Whoops. It's the other way around, sorry. Flick the switch to turn it on. Sorry. My bad. However, you may notice that there is a little bit of a problem here, as in the redstone dust doesn't go far enough, does it? So we're going to need to place a repeater here that's a little bit cleverer than you might expect, and by that I mean a block up with the redstone dust there, and then a repeater out of that into another block with a block on the side, redstone dust, and block up here with a repeater into that. And that means that this will continue being powered, except it won't back power it into this and keep an infinite loop like, for example, this would. And this doesn't matter whether I turn the farm on or not, because it's already being powered from that. So yeah, this, and that to cut off the signal. And as usual, remember to spawn proof. So then, that's basically it for the farm. Nothing else to be done. Just make sure you turn it off when you leave, or set up some contraption to automatically turn it off when you leave, so that you don't have to worry about it. And make sure you have your platform over 24 blocks away from the spawning platform, so that you aren't obstructing the rates, obstructing the spawn spaces. But that's really about it for this farm. It's pretty simple, just they spawn and they die, and you collect the drops from it. So, hopefully you enjoyed this episode, hopefully it was at least useful, and I shall see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.